Department of Defense and Weapon System Acquisition Reform Product Assessment Support Assessment, Chapter 7. Chapter 7, Critical Path Accountability. The strong desire among the program support assessment participants, most certainly among the report authors, do not to create yet another piece of shelfware to end of the set of the accountabilities must be assigned with the critical path to success must be established. Accountability parties who those will most of the sake of the Office of Secretary of Defense and the military service supporting and defensive agencies, industrial planning. In many cases, the reports are more influential, generally credited with the loss of the predictive criteria. One may be evaluated their impact. For example, the product support report of 1999. Remember, the view of the authors, those that recognized the report, did not promote the last change of the defense product support. Had the 1999 purported place in the predictive state in the ground, who would have the better means of the judging efficacy. Nonetheless, the initiative will spawn from this effort the performance-based logistics, total life cycle system management, reduction in total ownership of the private vendor arrangements, logistic footprint, and reduction in weapon system integrated with the supply chain, product support, and integrators among the initiatives catalyzed by the 1999 report. To what accountability standards that can in the 2009 report be held with the future touchdown of the judge whether the implementation moved ahead of the management science life cycle support or fell short. 10 long-term accountability indicators. However, the desired minds of the report's authors is unlikely to be unprecedented for a review body to still keep the score of reports, recommendations, sub-recommendations, and specific actions items in the last 5 years. Likely, indeed, at least certainly, the defense product support will stay. There will be in need for the conforming the reform and policy change subject to the critical resource decision 5 years how it shows. So how will the strategy policy makers know whether the Department of Defense product support processes have been improved to ensure the considering instead of the keeping the score of on how many of the recommendations were fully, partially implemented? Borrow on the page from the program support assessment team outlook-based playbook recommending the posterity should also show the health and the progress of the product support accountability for the reports against the 10 indicators. 1. The future acquisition reform legislative policies and initiatives with the lifecycle management focus. Program managers are equipped with lifecycle management enablers consistent with the program manager accountability responsibility to focus on life cycle costs and readiness. Operating and support costs are visual of the program services operating program services department level management a conjunction with the acquisition investment cost to make lifecycle cost decisions. Sustainment governance influence with the defensive acquisition boards related to weapon system review forms. The product support and transparent with the warfighters. The warfighters are more integral advocating affordability readiness based product support objectives. 6. Supply chains performed at the best in class level, the better integrated weapon system management operation outcomes. Enterprise perspective not limited to the province, signal, military service agency, information technology backbone. Product support capability assessment performed in national global levels, not with limited and bifurcated view of the public versus private capability. Expanded patterns of opportunities divided by the industry to the routinely include the lifecycle cost of performance design weapon system, enabling more robust integrated with industrial product-based support. The Department of Defense organic organizations are more capable of managing the complex incentives integrated with the inherent effective and performance-based strategies. The accountability governance, as noted at the beginning of the report, of the numerous studies and initiatives that have been conducted with the product support remaining an issue which makes this report the recommendation different is realized success does not rest in one activity efforts because of each more larger perspective and enterprising approach. In general, the ownership of the program support assessment team recommendations and assignments are straightforwardly assigned to those organizations identified with the first paragraph of this chapter. The Office of Secretary of Defense must drive the cultural change of the value exemption and work practices through the policy change, budgetary action to resource the policy change with oversight the governance to ensure the continued process toward the vision. Military service who need the changes to execute the total time responsibility may be proactive in implementing the program support assessment team director the interactive with their assistant support of the Office of Secretary of Defense policy change in industry that provides with the foundation of the design initiative. Manufacturing must provide with the further leaning activists and provided with the bridge to the linking the design change with the supply chain. supporting defensive agencies who are valuable supply chain product support providers without having critical warfighter support capability will within areas of the procurement, inventory management, distribution, transportation, disposal operations must work together with the military service and industrial seamless enterprise approach. Chapter 3 discusses the importance of the leadership core of strategic vision and design with the structural that's easily ready be facilitated in line with resource allocation, accelerated information flows. The overall accountability must rest in the high level of the Office of Secondary Acquisition Technology and Logistics without becoming a bureaucratic entangling service redundant and executive steering committees recommending the program supporting assessment team senior steering group to be reshaped with become a program support executive council, ensuring the common membership includes the stakeholder responsibility implementation. Program support executive council will be accountability implementation, the report and annual assessment of the progress. It will be critical to integrate with the groups and insight with existing similar executive oversight groups such as the Joint Logistic Board of the Maintenance Executive, the Steering Committee of the Supply Chain Integrated Executive Groups, their logistic human capital. Executive steering groups, they may be time when a program support assessment testing assessment team executive steering can fully transition submerged with the standing oversight of these groups, how they teams are designed and integrated with the critical piece of the governance recommendation. The Office of Secretary of Defense will need to hold the torch high and establish and enforce the standard life cycle of management. This was also placed on the Office of Secretary of Defense to determine on how the best to balance competing in the acquisition and logistic priorities. Military defense service and the defense agencies must buy into the program support assessment team recommendations, directions, make their own, and make it in case of the step out lead without waiting for the Office of Secondary Defense impetus. The service must embrace the increasingly combat operations are joint in nature. Logistics support operations must flow to it. Industry must keep be a good nation security capability partner, promoting innovation, responding cooperative pressure, flowing the down competitive driven incentive through the supply chain. Together, the Department of Defense industry must recognize the strengths, weaknesses of both the industrial organic assets, but the synergy further provides tremendous capability, capacity, technology that must be captured for the good of warfighting. The critical path and most important initiative failed with taking too much too fast, underestimating the continuing of the resource commitment required for the success. It is not enough to come up with a great idea, but the idea must be vetted and embraced with diverse and constituted. With the implementation must be planned, resource monitored, and guided with real change and effective. To be successful, the effort must be reviewed and managed with the program, the time phase, prioritized action. The action provided with the base of the critical path dictates the direction, the magnitude, the speed with which the proceeds. Without a doubt, the first item with the critical path is understanding of the war or the effort of the fits. The last current of the additional administration priorities. Without the proper support of the senior Department of Defense leadership, the endeavor will become just another good idea for the properly executed resources. Therefore, the top of the priority moving forward is to ensure the proper commitment with the administrative and ensure the good work of the lives of the procedure transformed required for the good of the national defense. There are a number of considerations determining the critical path of the current economic situation demands, and however, the action of the critical potential return of the investment becoming the priority. Another consideration will be opportunity to potential offset, adding something, but for going on an existing effort. While some of the offices initiatively obvious will and require detailed review of the following comparison against the new and existing opportunities. As discussed in Chapter 2, this will necessary portfolio management approach the governing structure and inform the enterprise-wide decision on those portfolio elements, placing the governance structure, proceedings, and priorities, assigning responsibility for the action necessary to move the product support improvement to the next level of the budgetary constraints. Simply put, the critical path of the program support assessment team is the Office of Secretary of Defense provides the stakeholder support of the administration and the military services and interpret implementing the reported services intermediate with long-term use. Industry embraces the use of the program support assessment test and team and infuses all of the existing development, design, and sustainment efforts, standing up the program support executive council to monitoring guide the effort. All right, now we're on to the appendixes. This time I'm just going to review.